Referral Mastery course. This is session 5 of our course. Today we're going to be discussing how to add responsive people to your database. Now there's two separate questions that title is actually pointing at that I'm going to answer today, and I will draw those out in a second. Before we get into today's session, however, as always, I want to do a little recap of where we've been, and we're going to use the apple tree diagram to do that. And this kind of represents where you should be if you've been keeping up with the homework or the steps toward mastery, as I'm calling them, over the previous 4 sessions. This is kind of where you should be at by now. And on our apple tree diagram, you'll see that the apples, the things that we're trying to cultivate with our whole system, are repeat and referred leads. And of course, just like apples come from apple trees, leads, repeats, and referrals come from people. And so the apple tree represents your database. And I said to you that there are 4 steps in getting your database organized initially. The first step was to build your list. That's to make as big a list of every human being on the planet that you know, as big a list as possible. Once you've made your big list, you then go through it with a highlighter or on an Excel spreadsheet, and you highlight every person that you think is one of the 300 most likely people to refer you or to use you themselves. Those 100 to 300 people we are calling your advocates, and that's really the main database that we're going to be focusing on with our referral system. Everybody behind that who didn't make it onto your advocate list goes on to what we call your B list or your big list, and that together with your advocates are just going to get your monthly newsletter. Those B list people are not going to get the further communication, the phone calls, the handwritten notes, and all the other stuff I'm going to be teaching you. And then you may have also deleted a few people off your database. Now that was the whole of the second point on the apple tree there, was to sort the database. Once it's sorted, you then capture that database onto some kind of contact management system. Now just to see if you can get what I'm about to say. Your advocates are going to need to go on a CRM system, because you're going to need to be tracking all of your contact with those people, track your conversations, track the different touch types which you're meant to be having with each one of them. And that CRM system is going to have to tell you at the beginning of every week, or potentially even every morning, who are the people you need to contact today, and you just need to keep up with that. All of that is what a good CRM system will do for you. So the advocates go on a CRM system, but your B list, together with your advocates as well, what do they get? They get the monthly newsletter, and that's by email. And so that big B list with your advocates, the whole list, needs to go onto some kind of bulk email service provider. Now, if you've got a good CRM system, you can also send bulk email from the CRM system itself. So you're going to, in that case, you will just put your database, you'll only need to put it in one place on your CRM system. But there may be CRM systems that you use that don't do bulk email or don't do bulk email well enough. Now, just the reason I'm going into this now is because this is going to become important when we get into the discussion that we're going to have today. Because I'm going to show you some advanced bulk email functionality today called drip campaigns. And for that, I use MailChimp. MailChimp, as you probably know, is probably the most well-known of the bulk email service, or they're called autoresponders. And it's got some amazing functionality that maybe your your CRM system doesn't have. And so in the case of a lot of the agents in my team, they actually run their database in 2 places. They have got their database on our CRM system, but then they also, if they want to run advanced email campaigns, they use a different autoresponder system like MailChimp to do all of their emails. And in that case, you're going to need to just duplicate your databases in 2 places. Okay, so we're looking at our apple tree, and that third step was to capture your database onto your CRM system. The fourth step was then to actually get on the phone through all of your advocates and prime them using the first of the 6 dialogues that I've taught you, called the Database Primer Dialogue. And that was that dialogue where we phoned them and we said, hey, I've recently made a decision to build my business exclusively by referral, and part of that means giving great service to my clients, but also keeping in touch better with my past clients. And I'm trying to get clear at the moment who it is who would actually be happy to refer me. So can I ask you, if you were buying or selling your home, or you had a friend or a family member who was, am I the agent you would refer them to? So there's that dialogue that I gave you, and then you're going to phone through all 300, you're going to prime them using that database primer, and then for all the successfully primed advocates, you then followed up with a handwritten note saying, thank you so much for your pledge of support. Your referrals mean the world to me. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at. Today, I want to focus in back on this build part of the database, because this may not be obvious, although it may be to you. Your database is not going to remain static. You are going to continually be adding people to your database, and some of them will not even have to go in the back door of just going on as a B-list client first. They start getting your newsletter, and then later on they get upgraded to an advocate if they start referring you. Some of them, you meet them, you click with them, perhaps it's a client that you've now met through a transaction, you've had a great experience with them, and they are raving fans by the time the end of that transaction happens. They immediately, you want to keep in touch with them as you do with your other advocates. They're going on as an advocate immediately. Well, that whole picture is what I want to focus on today. How do you add responsive people to your database? How do you keep building the database up? Now, there's two questions that raises. The first of those two questions is this: how do I add more people to my database? And the answer to that question is with a simple question. I'm going to teach you the second of the 6 dialogues that I'm going to teach you through the whole course. We're going to do the second of them today, and it is designed to do exactly this. Now, the dialogue is going to sound vaguely familiar to you because it's a different form of the database primer question. Remember, the database primer question was, if you were buying or selling your home, or you had a friend or a family member who was, am I the agent you would refer them to? Now, you could ask such a direct question of your advocates because of these are the people that you think are the most likely to refer you. These are people you know and you've already got a relationship with them, so you could be a little bit more direct with them. When you meet people, let's say you're in a Regus office. All EXP agents get Regus office membership around the world. Let's say you work a couple of days a week in the Regus office, which, by the way, I think is a very good idea, because you're going to meet a lot of people and start to get to know people who work there full time, or they have their offices there, they use that as their workspace. You're going to start building relationships with all sorts of people in all sorts of industries who've got all sorts of interesting little businesses, and many of them are going to get into a conversation with you about what you do. Now, how, when I'm sitting at the workspace at Regus and I've got chatting to this person a couple of times and I've got to know them and they know I'm a real estate agent, how do I get to the point where I can get them onto my database and start keeping in touch with them? It's a very simple question, and we're going to call this the database filter dialogue. The database filter dialogue. Now, why filter? Because you never want to add anyone to your database unless they first go through this filter of this question. This database filter dialogue actually will give you permission to keep in touch with people. They will give you their email address in order for you to do so. And this is what it sounds like. If you were buying or selling your home, or you had a friend or a family member who was, do you have an agent you would refer them to? You see the slight difference in the question there. It's not, am I the agent you'd refer them to? You say, hey, do you have an agent you would refer them to? So I'm sitting next to this person at the Regus office. We get into a conversation again. It's been a great chat. I'm going to head off. I say, oh, by the way, Bill, if you were buying or selling your home, or you had a friend or a family member who was, do you have an agent you'd refer them to? And they say, no, I don't. Then you will explain to them that you have a trusted advisor program, you keep people informed about what's happening in the property market, and you would love to keep in touch with them too. Would that be okay? They say yes. You say, what's the best email address to get you on? You get their email address and boom, they're on the list. So maybe you want to pause the video, role play that little dialogue. Once it's in your mind, you'll never forget it, and it's just ready. Now you know when you go into any kind of networking event or office or any kind of public, something at the school, your kid's school, and you're sitting next to it, anytime you get into any conversation with anyone, it is a low-key way, very predictable way of getting people's permission to keep in touch with them. Hey, if you were buying or selling your home, or you had a friend or a family member who was, do you have an agent you'd refer them to? No, we don't. Great, I've got a program. I keep people in this area informed about what's happening in the property market. On a monthly basis, I send out something that I think has got high value. Would it be okay if I kept in touch with you too? Sure. Great. What's the best email address to get you on? Boom, they go on. They either go straight on as an advocate if you think they're that kind of quality, or they just go onto your B list. Okay, so this is how to add new people. Now, on your apple tree diagram, under the dialogue section there, you might want to just keep this one up to date now. It's the second of the 6 dialogues, the database filter dialogue. So let's just talk briefly about how to meet people, because if you're going to want to build up your database, you need to be meeting people regularly. Now, there are many ways to do this, and if you're hardcore and you're up for it, I think circle prospecting is actually one of the best ways to do it, because as Ricky Carruth has taught us, Ricky does an amazing job of circle prospecting and his strategy around it. Go check him out at his Zero to Diamond coaching course. Ricky has got an amazing way of getting agents to get on the phone and speak to people in their selling area, homeowners in their selling area, and getting those homeowners permission to keep in touch with them. But there are obviously also other warm ways, and that's on the slide on the screen. You can do client adoption or absorption plans. I'm actually going to teach you that later in this course. Those are great ways to add chunks of people onto your database at a time. You can do housewarming parties. So when you help a new buyer move into an area, you say to them, hey, one of the services I like to provide for my clients is to host a housewarming party for you. I know it's super busy when you move into a new home. You don't want to do any of the admin around this, but you would like to meet some of the people in the area. Well, I'll do all of the admin for you. You just give me a budget for how much you'd like to spend on the catering or whatever, and I'll do all of the organization myself. And then you would send beautiful printed invitations to all of the neighbors. You'd follow up with a phone call. You would be at the housewarming party, so you're meeting all the neighbors who do come, and then you'd follow up afterwards with a handwritten note saying, thank you for attending Joe and Mary's housewarming party. It was so good that you made the effort, and I'm glad you've connected with your new neighbors. And then you can even follow that up with a phone call the next few days. Say, hey, it's Stephen. I met you at the housewarming party. Just wanted to say thanks again for coming. Hope you had a good time. And oh, by the way, if you were buying or selling, you had a friend or a family member was, do you have an agent you'd refer them to? Okay, so you're going to use this database filter dialogue. It doesn't matter which of these methods you use to build up your database. That's the question you're going to use, and then you're going to get permission to keep in touch with them. So these are all just creative ways to start getting in touch with people in your area. A change of address program. This is for buyers that don't want to have a full-on housewarming party, because some of your buyers would have said, no, we're not up for that right now. Then say, okay, well, could I do change of address cards for you? You know, sometimes it's a mission for you to let all of your previous friends and colleagues know that you've moved, and give them your new address and your new contact details. Well, I'll take care of all of that for you. All you got to do is give me a list of the people you want me to send out the information to, and I'll take care of the rest. So you do little change of address cards. Joe and Mary have moved, you know, have it nicely designed, and then you get the contact details of all of the people that it's going to. You send them, and then you follow up with a phone call. Hey, did you get the little card? Joe and Mary have moved. Oh, and by the way, community forums, show houses, or what you in the States would call open houses. Open houses are the most amazing way to meet people in the area. There are all sorts of clever techniques, like Randy Dick's technique of having a private kind of invitation-only open house before the main open house that only the neighbors get invited to. And that's where he says he meets all of the neighbors by inviting them to this invitation-only exclusive kind of pre-event event. You can also do 5 by 5 by 10, so the 5 houses on the right, the 5 houses on the left, and the 10 houses across the street from the open house, and go knock on those doors, give them an invitation to attend the open house. It's a great way to meet people, and obviously when you're at an open house, you're also meeting people that are responding to the advertising who are potential buyers to the area. So open houses are wonderful. Community service organizations, so Lions Club or Rotary Club or whatever you've got in your area. Join a local sports club. One of the best ways to meet people is over sport. Join a running club, join a pickleball club, or whatever. You've got to get out into the community. Get involved in your local church, business networking functions that are held in your city. Maybe there's a chamber of commerce, that sort of thing in your area that has regular functions. Go to them. Networking organizations like BNI, Business Networking International. It's a networking group where only one person from each profession is allowed in any chapter. And I know many of you watching this video are actually BNI members, and those have been a very fruitful source of referrals for you. Well, keep it up. And if you haven't looked looked at BNI, I think it's worth looking up. Join a local BNI chapter, Chamber of Commerce, children's school functions, sit on committees, get involved in your children's schools, and be present and involved at all community events. So if there's a fun run or a charity drive, you can be involved in those sorts of things or even organize them. This is a difficult conversation for those of us who are introverted by nature, but the fact of the matter is, if you want to work by referral, you have to develop the trust and respect of a relatively large group of people, 300 advocates, and be in regular communication with them. And if you don't have that number of people to keep in touch with, you have to find a way to add people. You've got to find a way to grow your database. Unfortunately, there's no way around that. So look through these, think about it, come up with a couple of strategies that you think will work for you and give yourself to them so that you can start building up the database. And every time you're meeting someone new, you're asking them that question. Oh, by the way, if you were buying or selling your home, or you had a friend or a family member who was, do you have an agent you'd refer them to? Okay. That's the first question answered. So how do I add new people to my database? Now, the second question that this whole subject raises is how to build critical mass quickly. How to build critical mass quickly. Now, this is another way of asking this question is, how do I get people that I've just met to be responsive and give me lots of referrals quickly? So that they go from like 0 in their kind of top of mind awareness, they're thinking about me, they're at a dinner party, someone says we think of selling our house. It does not go in one ear and out the other. They think, oh, I must let Stephen know. And then they give you a call the next day. Hey, my friend Mary said she's thinking of selling her house. I've said that she must expect your call. Here are her details. Like, how do we get someone that we've just met from nothing to that as quickly as possible? Well, it might surprise you. There's been some research around this, and we know exactly how to get them to what we call critical mass. You need to develop critical mass with a new contact as soon as possible. And critical mass, just to remind you, we have done this before, but it is that term that the marketing fraternity used to describe when a certain brand of an industry gets associated with the whole industry. So this generic product is now associated just with this brand name, and people call the product by this brand name, even though there are other brands that sell that kind of product. So in the old days, it was you didn't vacuum a floor, you hoovered a floor. There were different brands of vacuum cleaner, but Hoover had just cornered the market. They had critical mass. And today, the best example of that is Google. You don't do an internet search, you just Google something. Now, what we want to do is get these new people that we're adding to our database to critical mass, where they associate us with real estate, buy a home, sell property, real estate, any of these trigger terms, immediately get them to think of you. How do we do that? Well, here's what the research says. This means beginning the mindshare positioning process immediately. Studies show that this is best accomplished by touching the person 8 times in 8 weeks. So a touch is any kind of communication that you have with this person 8 times in 8 weeks. This is where a drip campaign can be so helpful. This is where a drip campaign can be so helpful. A drip campaign is an email campaign that sends a series of emails over a predetermined time frame automatically. So some people are in week 3, some are week 1, maybe you've got others in different weeks. But it's all just happening automatically. You don't even have to worry about it. You just add them to the database, you give them a certain tag so that the system knows to trigger the drip campaign, and you can forget about it after that. The only time you do not forget about it is halfway through. I'm going to put this on the screen for you later. Halfway through the drip campaign, so in week 4, I would recommend you make a phone call, because they've got 4 emails in a row after your initial meeting. Make a phone call halfway through, just touch base. Hey, are you enjoying the communication? Are you getting it? No problem. If there's ever anything I can do, let me know. Boom, little personal touch, and then the next 4 weeks we'll keep going after that. Okay, so let's end it there. I'm going to cut to my computer and I'm going to show you what the drip campaign looks like and how to program it. Right, what you're looking at on the screen is my MailChimp account. And again, you don't have to use MailChimp for this. You can kind of do some research on your own CRM system and see if they've got this functionality, but this will communicate the point well. So under the automations tab, you'll see there's the thing called journeys. That's what MailChimp, in their case, that's what they call drip campaigns. They call it journeys. So I'm going to click on all journeys, and you'll see that there are a few journeys that I've got pre-programmed into my system already. So I'm going to show you this one, Francesca's intro drip campaign. So my daughter, Francesca Johnstone, is an EXP agent, and we built a very good 8 email in 8 week drip campaign, as I've taught you on this session. So I'm going to show that one to you so that you've got an idea of what we chose for the content for each of those 8 emails. If you would like to read those emails in detail, just send Francesca an email and she will add you to her database so that you will get the 8 emails in the 8 weeks, and that way you've got an actual copy of them, and you're welcome to copy them. There's no problem with that. I'll put Francesca's email on the screen or below the video. The new EXP agent onboarding drip campaign. This is actually one of the things I do in my EXP business. When anybody joins my whole revenue share group, I add them to this. So we've got 1,341 people that have gone through this already. And it triggers, in that case, it's actually 11 emails in 11 weeks that they get, taking them through the most important steps to get up and running smoothly as an EXP agent. Okay, so let's look at Francesca's drip campaign. We're going to click on that. So the first thing you've got to do is you've got to tell the system how to add someone to the drip campaign. And in MailChimp and on most CRM systems, you would do that using what we call tags. So what I've done here is we've chosen to use this tag drip campaign. And when Francesca adds someone to her database now, she tags them drip campaign. And then the system triggers the email. The first email goes immediately, and we can actually have a look at that email if you want to. So that says, hi, first name, great connecting with you. I'll be in touch soon. In the meantime, please click here to learn more about me and property in the upper southern suburbs. And we've got a little GIF, which is a moving image. It's not actually a video it's a moving image, but it's hyperlinked to her agent bio page on the website of the real estate team that she's with, which is called Realty South Africa. And this is her agent bio page. So immediately when she adds someone to her database, she triggers them by tagging them drip campaign, and they get this email immediately. If they click it, it takes them to this page. There's an agent intro video. That's a 3.5-minute video to get to know Francesca. And it's a simple little page. They can click a few other things to look at some listings. But essentially what we want them doing is watching this video. Okay, so that's the first of the emails. That one goes immediately. Then we've programmed in a 1-week delay. And let me actually show this to you. She's got 21 people so far since we built this for her, because she's only recently joined. 21 people she's added. 85% are opening the email. That is a massively successful open rate. Most bulk email open rates are around 20%. So she's getting over 4 times that with this first email, and a lot of those people will be watching the video. So it's fantastic. We've programmed in a 1-week delay, and then email number 2 goes. Email number 2 is a welcome to the southern suburbs. So let's have a look at that email. Welcome to the upper southern suburbs. It's a huge privilege for me to help families buy, sell, and settle in the southern suburbs of Cape Town. It's a remarkable place. Please click here to watch the video now. So this is introducing people to the southern suburbs of Cape Town. Something else about the emails, especially the first couple of emails, I want them to be video rich, because people bond with you. It's called parasocial bonding, where people actually bond with you over video, and it keeps the text really short. You don't want to have reams and reams of text for your first or even your first and second email. You want them at least getting to know you a little bit more before you start sending them text-based emails. As you're going to see in Francesca's case, all of the rest of her drip campaign, the other 6 emails, are all text-based. But the first 2, we went to the effort to get some really good footage. And if you click on this, it actually just takes you to the YouTube video of Francesca's Welcome to the Southern Suburbs of Cape Town video, which is a fantastic video.
if you get onto Francesca's drip campaign, you'll see the video that she's produced with unbelievably good footage of the Cape Town area, the upper southern suburbs. We're on the foothills of Table Mountain. It's a beautiful part of South Africa. Okay, so enough of that. Another 1 week delay, then email 3 goes, which is local school spotlight. We are in an area where Francesca will be selling to a lot of young families who move into the area because we've got very good schools in the area. So we decided to do an email just on the local schools. And if you look at this email, one of the things that Francesca did was she did a whole lot of research into all the top schools in the area, and then she linked the schools' websites. So if you want to go to Herschel Girls, you click on that, it takes you to Herschel's website. Bishop's is the private school for boys in the area. Click on that, it takes you to Bishop's website, and so on for a number of the other schools. All the emails end the same way. I'll chat soon. If there's ever anything I can do for you, just let me know. So that's week number 3. Week number 4, things to do in the southern suburbs. Week 5, art and culture in the southern suburbs. This was an email we got a local art specialist, one of the top art curators in the country, actually wrote this for Francesca, and she's highlighted the top galleries in Cape Town. We got a lot of very good art galleries in the city. Another 1 week delay. The next email is Upper Southern Suburbs. What was this? Upper Southern Suburbs Property Market Report. Now, this is the one email in the drip campaign that Francesca's going to have to come in and change every couple of months, because she's pulling data from the data sources that we've got in South Africa on what the property market's doing, how many properties have sold in the area, what the average selling price, average days on the market, all that sort of thing. You must have one email at least in your drip campaign that is hardcore real estate knowledge, so that you are communicating to your audience. I know what I'm talking about when it comes to real estate. I'm not only a very nice person and a wonderful person to deal with that you can trust me, but I'm also highly competent as a real estate agent. So we've got age of owners reports, etc. Now, as I say, this Francesca is going to have to come and change. Whereas all of the other emails, you've probably seen already, she's drafted them once and they will be valid in 5 years' time. She will still be able to just have people going onto that drip campaign and going through the 8 emails. This one, she's going to have to come in and change once every couple of months. So that was, I think it was week 5. Then, and again, I don't want to labor the point, but between each email, you see we're programming in a 1 week delay. The next one is the best date night spots. This was Francesca's idea, and I think it turned out so well. This is such a cool email, and the way she wrote it. So you've got date night spots, and if you're looking for a romantic evening out, what are the best restaurants in the area? So Asian, pizzas, burgers, Mexican, pasta, and Italian, together with the website links for each of those restaurants, so that people can make a booking if they want to. Again, this is all value-added stuff, and people really appreciate this kind of content. So that's the best date night spots. Then thank you. So that was number 7. And then the final one is a short email just saying thank you for coming on this journey with me. And I will be keeping in touch now on a monthly basis. So let's have a look at that email. It's a short email just saying thanks for joining me. Don't worry, I will be keeping in touch. Each month you will be receiving my market update email filled with the same kind of valuable content. Then don't hesitate to reach out to me if you need anything, and I'm looking forward to staying connected with you. Okay, 8 emails in 8 weeks. Now, the last thing I want to show you on the drip campaign, very clever. Think about this logically now. Francesca has kept in touch for 8 weeks with someone brand new that she's added to her database. Halfway through, she's given them a phone call. We do not want this person during that 8 weeks to receive the normal newsletter. We don't want the newsletter confusing or overburdening this person. Geez, I get this like weekly email on a Tuesday, and all of a sudden there's a newsletter on a Thursday, and I'm just going to unsubscribe. We don't want that. We want them just clean, getting the 8 emails, and only after the 8th email do we want them then to get the newsletter that gets sent to everybody once a month. How do you do that? Well, MailChimp will add a tag. We've programmed it. After the 8th email, we've told MailChimp, add the tag monthly newsletter. So someone will get tagged drip campaign. They'll go through the 8 weeks. At the end of the 8 weeks, they then get another tag added to them, monthly newsletter. And who does Francesca send the email to once a month? She sends it to everyone tagged monthly newsletter. You get it? That way, the people who are still on the drip campaign will not get the newsletter until they're finished. It's a brilliant little system. Okay, so that should be enough for you to have a look at how to do this. Go and look at your own CRM system, poke around, see if you can find the functionality, because if you can do it using your CRM system, all the better. It means you don't have to take out a separate membership on MailChimp. So, yeah, back to our studio footage, and we're going to close off today's session by looking at a couple of other important points and then the steps toward mastery for the next 2 weeks.
All right, fantastic. Hopefully that makes sense to you and you're excited about programming your own drip campaign. Just a few points before we close with our steps toward mastery. Using your CRM system, schedule a phone call halfway through the drip campaign. Now just remember, that's important because if you want to work by referral, you can't just be sending people stuff. The written communication, you've got to combine written communication with personal contact. That's why we do the phone call halfway through. And I say using your CRM system, because your CRM system should have the functionality for you to be able to program a phone call so that 4 weeks later, boom, you get an email, your task list for the morning from your CRM system says, phone these 10 people. Okay, steps towards mastery. Number 1, finish calling through all your advocates and prime each one using the database primer dialog. You say, weren't we supposed to have done that like weeks ago? Yes, you were, but I've done this so many times. I know that for the vast majority of you doing this course, you've actually not finished priming your advocates yet. And this is the last 2-week gap I'm going to give you to do so. In our next session, I'm going to assume that you have finished priming the database and we're going to get on then with the written communication types. We're going to start talking about the actual communication strategies we're going to use. So finish the priming of your advocates. Secondly, as you will remember, send every successfully primed advocate a handwritten note thanking them for their support. And then the last thing I'd like to suggest you do over this next 2 weeks is to start planning or even building an introductory drip campaign. And hopefully you were inspired to do so from today's video. So that's it for today. God bless you. I will see you in our next session where we begin looking at written communication, and in the next session we're actually going to look at handwritten notes, which is an inspiring session, and I'm hopefully going to open your eyes to the most powerful technique that you've never thought of implementing in your business. So we'll see you then, and I look forward to it.